I'll call to order the city council meeting for Monday, November 21st, 2022. Everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Dave Webb.
Here.
Kevin Kadada.
Here.
Tim Root.
Here.
Cindy Fear.
Here.
And Scott Palava.
Here.
Okay, tonight's agenda goes through 10F. Is there an additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda?
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Palava, second by Councilman Kadada. We do have the chamber director here. Maybe she could just talk early on in the presentation of citizen petitions comments.
That's right.
So, all right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There are no minutes, the public hearings. Presentation of citizens petitions and comments. Comments limited to 2 minutes. If you're not on the agenda, now's your opportunity to speak. Otherwise, Shanna, you want to come up to the plate, give the big rah-rah of all your good work.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Shanna Gutsky-Cup with the Lonsdale Chamber of Commerce. Just wanted to kind of give you guys an update on events we have going on. Lonsdale First Loyalty Program started November 1st, runs through the 31st. We have loyalty cards in increments of $100 every time you spend at 32 of the participating businesses. You get placed into a drawing and you can win up to $700. Going on through the end of December, I think I mentioned. Frosty Fest will be Saturday, November 26th. We will have horse-drawn wagon rides sponsored by Lonsdale Auto Works along with 2 other businesses. We have a tree lighting ceremony sponsored by the Lonsdale Wizards and 6 fire pits with s'mores sponsored by 6 other businesses. So that'll be on Main Street, north and south. We will have Winter Wonderland over by Something for All. Santa, Mrs. Claus, Frosty will have photos. Scott, am I missing anything?
That's a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Oh, we have a lantern release with the tree lighting at 6:15, so we will have our honorable Mayor Tim Root say a few words, along with the Lonsdale Snow Wizards, and then we're going to do a lantern release right after the tree lighting, so that will be new, so we'll see how that turns out. Chamber annual dinner, January 31st at Horse and Hunt Club this year, so if you want to set the date for that. Otherwise, we'll have our membership drive December 1st, and I think that's all.
That's a lot.
Until the mayor comes in February to the State of the City address.
State of the City, yes, that's February, yes, so we have a lot going on, but thank you guys all for your support and participation, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, you know, I kind of give you a shout out at every meeting, I don't know if you ever, hear about that, but you do a lot of really good things in town. The ribbon cuttings themselves are, timely and all these events, and just a terrific director of the chamber, absolutely.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So, thank you for all you do, and happy Thanksgiving.
And one thing, just to reiterate, we brought it up at the last meeting, but the switch now and the lights are all gonna go on the Christmas tree, right?
Yep.
We're all, no fingers crossed, we wanted to.
We're testing it.
Oh.
We're
Well,
testing it
yeah,
in a
so
couple
we are
of days.
meeting with
We're actually
Joe
gonna test it
on
this time,
Wednesday
okay.
at 1, so,
To
yeah.
go through and show them what to do.
How to reset the breaker. If need be.
That's key too, so thank you, we appreciate that. So.
Seriously, thank you for all your work.
Yes,
Good
of course,
job.
thank you
Thanks,
guys.
All right. Good night. Anybody else care to speak? Okay, excuse me. On to the consent agenda. There's a number of items tonight. The monthly bills, the treasurer's report, the Board of Commission minutes. Consider acknowledgement of a Minnesota Lawful Gambling LG 220 application for exempt permit with no waiting period submitted by the Knights of Columbus Council 16225. Consider approval to schedule, to schedule a public hearing on December 29th, 2022 at 7 p.m. or shortly thereafter for ordinance 2022-315, the 2023 fee schedule, an ordinance amending ordinance 2022-308, the 2022 fee schedule. Would anybody like any of those items pulled for discussion?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Palava, second by Councilman Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. There is no old business. On to new business. Consider approval of change order number 7 in the amount, or in the deduct amount of $23,170 for the new police facility project. Melissa Stein of Old. Welcome.
Hi everyone, how are you doing?
Good.
I'm excited to be here to actually have a deduct approved.
Yeah, I had to reread
That
that.
doesn't- I know, that doesn't happen all the time, so, as you guys know, obviously the PD are in the facility, and, we've been taking care of any minor things that maybe have come up, as in, warranty items. There's been some furniture things that have now gotten reinstalled. We took photography of those, so we have some professional photography taken, and once we have those, you guys have, as the owners, you guys have license to those as well to use as you would like. And then we also are in the process of giving the dedication plaque, for that as well. So I worked with, Joel and with the chief, so we kinda got it designed, and we're just kinda working through, the ordering and the purchasing of that
Sure, sure.
plaque.
Okay. Are we close to the final then, or how far out is that? Is that?
Yeah, so we are working with Key to get all of our closeout documents. So I'm hoping, not that I don't like to see you guys all the time, but I'm hoping that we have one final payment, but pay app that will approve, and hopefully that means that all closeouts, it'll be the last final one, and we'll get all of like the O&M's warranty information from the contractor, which we haven't started seeing any of that yet. And we haven't seen a pay app since the I think last month. So.
Okay. And the anticipated dollars are pretty close to budget? Is that what we're thinking? The overall project is
Yes.
on budget, or pretty close?
Yep, so this deduct will be the only, it's like the last final change to the contract, if you will.
Okay.
The rest of it will be whatever's remaining on the payment, if you will.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, good. Anybody have any questions or comments? Or?
Well, we like deduct, so I'll do that.
Okay,
I move we approve change order number 7 and deduct the amount of $23,170.
Second.
motion by Councilman Kadada, second by Councilman Webb. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Palava and Joel, for all your work on this, and the chief for all your work on this process. But, like we said early on, all's well that ends well, right? Good. Okay, consider ordinance 2022-314, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2018-292, adding commercial car washes as a conditional use to the Rolling Ridge Marketplace PUD. Mr. Erickson.
All right, thank you, Mayor and members of the council. This is the second request for an amendment to the Rolling Ridge Marketplace PUD agreement. Earlier this year in May, the applicant made the same request, and at that time it was denied because of concerns of noise, increased traffic, the fact that car washes weren't a permitted use with the original development plan, the fact that car washes are allowed as a CUP within the B2 and the CI zoning districts, meaning that there's other places in town that it could be constructed. Lack of screening and a barrier, location of the car wash to the west end of the development, and then neighborhood opposition. During that process, the applicant was suggested to the applicant that they hold a neighborhood meeting with the affected property owners to hear their concerns and see what they can do to come up with compromises to make this project work. Through that, the applicant also hired a consultant to do a noise study and focused on the rooftop units at McIntoons and then First National Bank. He also did some investigating at the Quick Trip in Dundas, and then also the traffic that is on Highway 19. In addition, the applicants proposed 2 site plans. The east one, which is adjacent to First National, traffic flow would exit the car wash to the east. And then the west end, the project would be adjacent to the residential neighborhood. Traffic would exit the car wash to the west, utilizing the existing ring road. Earlier this month, last Monday, the Planning Commission held the required public hearing. Staff provided mailed and published notices of the hearing to all those that were required to receive it. Also, they were provided with a little history dating back to '01 when the land was originally annexed into the city, kind of the platting of that development in '02. '05, the final plat was approved. '06 was the first time that there was a car wash proposed for this site. At that time, it wasn't approved either. And then throughout the years, the city and property owners and developers have worked to come up with what is currently the PUD agreement for the Rolling Ridge Marketplace Owners Association. What is being proposed is not a site plan, it's actually whether or not commercial car washes will be allowed. Should it be approved, the next step would be for the applicant to submit a land use application for site plan review. And then at that time is when the Planning Commission and City Council could impose whatever conditions are deemed appropriate at that time. Some of the things, and I don't want to steal his thunder, but some of the things that have happened since then, the applicant has stated that the dryer bay will be extended so that the doors will remain closed during the entire wash-dry process. I know that was a concern with noise. Kind of comparing some of the original plans with what is proposed and the fact that there's potentially less impact on adjacent properties now. Also at the public hearing, public comment was provided by several residents, and both stated their support for the project. In addition, I did receive an email prior to the public hearing in support of the project as well, from a resident that lives on Birch Avenue Northeast. The culmination of the public hearing in the Planning Commission was that a motion to approve the land use application failed 2-1. Only 3 of the 5 Planning Commission members there for various reasons. And then the options are, one would be to approve the land use application request or to deny it. There is no fiscal impact to the city for considering and discussing it tonight. And then the alternative would be to postpone a decision on the land use application, but being cognizant of the fact that it would have to be some action to approve or deny it would have to be taken within the 60 days. Otherwise, if no action is taken, it would be approved. And then included with the packet is just information that was provided to both the Planning Commission and the Council in the past, the proposed text amendment, the application, hearing notice, the written public comment that I received, the car wash history from '02 to '07, various maps of the development, the decibel monitoring report that the applicant will touch base on, and then the east and west concepts.
Okay.
That would conclude staff's reports.
Okay, and I understand the applicant has a presentation.
Yep.
Okay, welcome to come up and.
All right, good afternoon or good evening. Jake Wetzel. I reside at 11050 Shieldsville Boulevard, Montgomery. Before I get into the decibel readings, just want to touch base on a few things. And like Joel said, the wash bay is now going to be long enough to make sure that the dry cycle, the cars are in the car wash bay the entire dry cycle with the doors down. Once the dry cycle is done, the doors will open, so essentially no sound will escape there. And that's just like the Quick Trip car wash in New Prague there. At the neighborhood meeting, there was an argument, I guess, that a car wash is going to bring too much traffic. And I just want to step back to 2004 when this area was developed. There was a strip mall proposed, and that strip mall was 780 lineal feet long with storefronts to the north and to the south. I mean, that's 15 to 20 stores per side. Now that's a lot of traffic. That would be significantly more than what the car wash would ever bring. And then that ring road there, that was intended on being used for that traffic. So there's no difference there. With our current layout now, we're not kinda, we are right in line with this 2018 concept plan, here, that's drawn up. You'd have the bank, XYZ retail, and then a car wash over here, so you got 3 buildings, and it would all fall in line with that. There was another argument that a car wash is gonna reduce the home values of these neighboring properties. I reached out to a couple of realtors myself, and they both pretty much said that a car wash is an amenity to the town. It's not gonna reduce any home values. One realtor actually recommended that the car wash and lease center that we currently own, they recommended that I get the market values of those homes that are within 150 to 200 feet of that car wash and go across town and get comparable houses, the market values of those. And I got those printed out here as well. And there's essentially no change whatsoever with a comparable house across town. And then again, you know, I said this before, I'm not interested in building anywhere else within Lonsdale. We did the study, and to be completely honest, my sales rep wouldn't even sell me a car wash system up at the Dollar General area. So getting into the decibel readings now. After the neighborhood meeting, I had to, I guess I decided to hire a third party to conduct some sound testing with 2 goals in mind. One, to find what noise levels are currently in the Rolling Ridge Marketplace, and 2, how far those noises travel. So we put a seismograph up on top of McInthun's roof at the refrigeration condenser unit, and we recorded for 5.5 hours and over 3 hours of 90 to 95 decibels. And then if you go 125 feet to the north, you're getting on average 50 to 55 decibels. If you go 250 feet to the west, you're getting between 45 and 55 decibels on average. And those are comparable. I do have a printout on what these decibels are comparable to. So 50 is like a quiet office, 40 is a light rain, and 60 is a normal conversation. Then we went over to the First National Bank rooftop there, and we were between 85 and 105 decibels up there. We went 300 feet to the west of there in that property where the car wash is proposed. And then on average there we're at 45 to 50 decibels. Highway 19, we did some testing out there, sound testing. I don't like this one very much just because we're 35 feet off the road with the seismograph. They're worried about it getting stolen, I guess. So 35 feet off the road, on average, we're 70 to 75 decibels. We did have a couple readings, 95 to 100 decibels. Then 190 feet north of Highway 19, on average, we were between 45 and 50 decibels there. So that's just showing you how far these decibels are traveling, actually. The car wash dryers now, 10 feet from the dryers, it's 80 decibels. 50 feet, I'm down to 66 decibels. The closest house is 320 feet from that dryer, approximately. Now, I didn't even take a test in this area 320 feet from anywhere, and everything is below 45 and 55 decibels with higher readings from the starting point. And kind of to put things in perspective, if I had 12,000 car washes in a year, 33 washes in a day, that would be on average. If a dry time for every wash is 85 seconds, that's 47 minutes of dryer time every day. Now, McInthun's is running 14 hours of a 24-hour day at 90 to 95 decibels. And same with the First National Bank, it's about 14 hours of 85 to 100
Not to interrupt, so you said your decimal level for the dryers is about 66, is that what you said?
At 50 feet.
Yeah.
At 50 feet, 66 decibels, yes.
So according to your chart, I mean, normal conversation is at 60.
Exactly, yep.
Okay.
So that's the Rolling Ridge Marketplace decibel readings I've conducted there. I went over to the dryer system at the Quick Trip Car Wash in Dundas. And that's not the exact same dryer, but it's a fairly similar one. At that dryer, about 10 feet from it, I was getting between 85 and 90 decibels. 135 feet straight across the road, I was getting between 59 and 64 decibels. Every time a car would drive by, it'd spike up to 75 decibels. So the cars were louder than the dryers at that point. Same thing, we went 150 feet to the 90 degrees from the dryers, and we were getting 55 to 60 decibels there. Same thing, a car would drive through that road there, and it would spike up to 70, 75 decibels. So in conclusion, I guess, I hope that you guys find my efforts helpful in making a decision here tonight, and I hope that you see my overall desire to bring business to the Rolling Ridge Marketplace of Lonsdale.
Do you have like an estimated construction cost, just a ballpark, you know, form or anything?
Probably around 1.1.
That one around?
Yep.
Okay, well, thank you for your presentation.
Yep. Thank you.
I guess in fairness to Mr. Wetzel, he's kind of done everything we've asked. He's had the neighborhood meeting, he's done the decibel research.
What I think is important too is those decibel readings are based on open air. Now let's put it in a box and close the doors.
Right. In a masonry building.
Right,
It's,
right.
it brings it down to near zero.
Yeah,
This was declined in May or whatever, and that was proposed to be on the farthest west site. We did ask the applicant if, you know, moving it to the east was an option. It seems like they're open to that, you know, and doing the decibel readings, and they're definitely working with us and answering the questions that were the concerns of the residents anyhow. And the dryer inside, that's a big help too, I think.
yeah, so it's, I mean, this looks substantially more quiet than McIntoon's rooftop,
Yeah.
according to these
Yep.
readings.
I do think, you know, Joel had touched on that if it would pass here tonight, we would definitely, in my mind, need to put some restrictions on it for where it is placed. I don't think we would like it everywhere on the outside, but if we have footage, you know, on that, but that would be at a different meeting.
That'd be under the COP or
Yep.
I think this would be a good addition to the area. I really wish we could find a different spot for it, but we don't have a different area to place it. What concerns me is that we as a council put stock in what our commissions bring to us. Planning and zoning has done their homework and sat through the different hearings and listened to community input, and they bring us a recommendation. Now, not very often do we go against what they recommend to us. And I get the fact that we had a real light group that voted on this the other evening on this situation. But also I'm concerned with us turning this into a conditional use. What about down the road when the next item comes that wants to put something in there that wasn't really allowed originally, but now we're setting a precedent. Well, you let this one do it, now I want you to let me do it too. So that concerns me.
Well, I mean, obviously it's CUP. I think the one thing that we should keep in perspective, I mean, I get that we want to protect the residents, and it sounds like we're doing that, but, I mean, we spend a lot of time and effort on promoting business for our community. I mean, EDA, all the market research we've done, partnering with the University of Minnesota to promote business. As much as, you know, I like the neighbors there, and, you know, I think we do everything that we want or can to protect them. I think it's pretty hard to go out and market and recruit businesses, and then when somebody comes to town, we say, well, no, we're closed-minded, we won't even consider it. In fairness, we did say, have a neighborhood meeting, see if you can get people on board, take their input and all those kind of things. And I think the gentleman has done that. And I'm sure some of those meetings get heated I think, obviously we all have friends that live close by. But I think based on the conditions of CUP that can be set, I'm actually supportive of it. I think we should be more open-minded and want growth there. The fact is, and Mr. Wetzel said that, it is a retail area. A quick trip would provide so much traffic there that I don't know if the streets could handle it, and this is certainly a car wash. I know, like I say, I'm sure, some of the residents are gonna be probably upset with my position, but I think that Mr. Wetzel has went above and beyond and certainly is entitled to at least have some consideration for it, so that's my opinion.
Well, I want to say, that we do have the planning commission, our advisory boards where they are appointed, as to provide us with their perspective on things. Doesn't mean that we always have to agree with it, and oftentimes we will, move along with that. But ultimately, we are the ones that were elected to represent our citizens. We got almost 5,000 citizens, and even at this last public hearing, we had 0 opposition from anybody. And we've got to remember that that's what our job is to take care of the vision and continue the city moving forward. And we can't continue to dig it, or just dig in just because it's been that way for so long. Change is hard, but ultimately it's going to be a benefit for the majority of the community. So that's why I'm in favor of it.
I do agree with you. This is sat open for 20 years. Maybe this is the thing that gets it rolling again and sparks some life into that whole development. You need something there.
Right. Well, I think as probably Kevin recalls, and certainly Joel, that's how the whole subdivision or retail division got going there. Fred's at the time wasn't gonna come unless we invested Lonsdale liquor in there and created traffic and traffic's gonna help everybody. Traffic's gonna help the bank, it's gonna help us with Lonsdale liquor, it's gonna help McIntoons and that's what these businesses need to succeed in small towns.
Well, and as to that, it's really easy to say, hey, go move it somewhere else, but until you've been that business owner, that you're looking at all that,
Right.
you don't know.
Right.
It's not that easy.
Right. And it still has to go through the CUP process.
Oh, yeah,
This
absolutely.
would be
Yeah,
more
this is just
important.
saying that it would be allowed.
Right, right.
I do think, going back to the planning and zoning board meeting, for various reasons, a couple of members couldn't make it. I think the vote would have went different if it had been a full board. There'd been more ideas, more different discussions, and I think the vote possibly could have went different. But
Right.
we don't know that either.
And I agree with you, it's, we hate to go against an advisory board because we really value their opinion, but like with Kevin said, in fairness, you only had a fraction of the board there. But I think we as a city council have to decide, and we should decide tonight, what our intentions are. In fairness to Mr. Wetzel, we can't keep chasing him down a rabbit hole here, we just gotta say, one way or the other and make a decision and move forward, but,
I'll make a motion to consider approving ordinance 2022-314.
Second.
motion by Councilman Palava, second by Councilman Webb. Any further discussion?
And that would be at a different meeting that we would put any restrictions on for.
Correct, this is just
Placement.
making it that it could be there.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-1. Okay, on to Consider approval to appoint Joe Pumper as Fire Chief of the Lonsdale Fire Department. Mr. Erickson.
All right, thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Get to that. So the position of fire chief is an appointed position with a term of 4 years and a maximum of 3 terms. Our current fire chief, Dave Fluke, has decided not to reapply for his second term. Therefore, his term will end at the end of this year. The position was posted internally for applicants during the early part of October. 1 application was received, which was submitted by Joe Pumper. The interview consisting of firefighters Lee Piarkey, Jim Turek, Steve Cloney, Mayor Root, Councilmember Palava, and myself interviewed Pumper on October 19th. He meets the minimum requirements of the position and interviewed well. Because of those items and the fact that he's highly regarded by the department, the interview committee is recommending Pumper be appointed a fire chief. Prior to applying for the chief's position, Mr. Pumper served and has been a firefighter since 2007, captain since 2014, and part of the Relief Association as the gambling manager. Based on his application materials and interview, his initial priorities are recruitment and retention, finalizing the standard operating plan, training, increased morale and confidence. There is no fiscal impact to appointing Mr. Pumper as our fire chief. The alternative would be to not appoint him and re-advertise the position. And then included with the staff report is the fire department's hiring process and then Mr. Pumper's application materials. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, any thoughts, any
I
comments?
think he'd be a great pick. With that, I move we approve appointing Joe Pumper as the fire chief of the Lonsdale Fire Department.
Motion by
Second.
Councilman Kadada, second by Councilperson Fuhr. Any further discussion? I do want to thank the interview board, the HR, and some of the firemen for handling the interview process and did a good job. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Pumper, would you care to speak as the new fire chief of the Lonsdale Fire Department? Well, we can clap, that's okay.
Thank you, Mayor Rudd. Thank you, members of the City Council. First, I'd like to thank the members of the hiring committee for selecting me as the new fire chief of the Lonsdale Fire Department. I look forward to serving the community to the best of my ability in this role. The Lonsdale Fire Department will continue to offer prompt, well-trained staff while maintaining a cost-effective fire suppression service and professional medical response team. I'd like to thank all the previous fire chiefs before me. Their commitment to serve the community has elevated the Lonsdale Fire Department to be what it is today. I'd also like to thank my immediate family for the relentless support they continue to offer day in, day out. And lastly, I'd like to thank all the firefighters and service members I've had the pleasure of serving with. You have given me the experience, skills, and courage to continue my career with the Lonsdale Fire Department as fire chief. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Best of luck to you, sir. Okay, consider approval to appoint Harry Danielson as Assistant Fire Chief of the Lonsdale Fire Department. Mr. Erickson.
All right, thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Well, similar to the position of fire chief, the assistant chief's an appointed position, again with a 4-year term and a max of 3 terms. Current assistant chief Scott Stika did not reapply for a second term, so therefore his term will end at the end of this year as well. The position was posted internally for applicants during the early part of October. The interview committee, the same interview committee, interviewed Joe Pumper and Casey Greger on the 19th. Both met the minimum requirements, with Pumper being recommended to the position of fire chief. That left Greger as the remaining applicant. The interview committee did not recommend Greger for the position because of his attendance record. Because of that, the position was reposted, and Danielson and Greger both applied for the position. Second round of interviews were held last week on the 17th and 18th, and based off of the applicant's qualifications, interviews, and attendance record, the interview committee is recommending Harry Danielson be offered the position. Prior to applying for the assistant chief's position, Mr. Danielson has been a firefighter since '07, pump operator and training officer. Based on his application material and interview, his initial priorities would be to finalize the standard operation plan, bring back traditions done by the department to create more relationships between the firefighters, and then be more visible in the community besides just showing up for calls. One of the questions that was asked is if he intends to be the next fire chief, and he indicated he would, as long as there's no other better candidates at that time. Again, no fiscal impact to the city for making the appointment. The alternative would be to not make the appointment and re-advertise the position. And then included attachments are, again, the department's hiring policy and Danielson's application materials. If there's any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
No, we interviewed the candidates, and Mr. Danielson had I didn't realize his extensive background in other areas of beyond just his professional background, so I was impressed with that. So, make a motion to appoint Harry Danielson as Assistant Fire Chief of Lonsdale.
Second. Motion by Councilman Palava, second by Councilman Webb. Any further discussion? Again, thank you, HR Board and Firemen for handling the interview process. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, sir. Do you have a prepared speech as good as the chief?
I don't, I'm actually underdressed and I don't have a speech ready.
Well, best of luck to you anyway.
Thank you, sir.
Consider approval of the 2023 West Central Sanitation Good Neighbor Recycling Teams. Mr. Erickson.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. With our contract with West Central Sanitation, one of the requirements that we included in our request for proposals was that they continue a recycling program for nonprofit organizations to generate revenues to help pay for items that they need or give back to the community. We currently have 3 applications on file: TCU High School Baseball, the Lonsdale Golden Agers, and the Lonsdale Lions Club. We did have to create a policy that kind of prioritized who would get selected. Those points that are looked at are location of the organization, past participation, funding opportunities that are available to them outside of this, the order of the applications received, age, and, it sounds bad, but money trail. Based off of those 6 criteria, staff is recommending, and this was also presented at the last park board meeting as well, that the first quarter green team be the Golden Agers, the second quarter Good Neighbor Recycling team, the first quarter be the Golden Agers, second quarter TCU Baseball, and the third quarter team, the Lonsdale Lions Club. With only having 3 applications on file, I guess once I receive the next application, I'll bring a recommendation to the park board and the city council subsequent to that and get that 4th organization approved. But unless there's any questions, staff would recommend that those 3 organizations be appointed the Good Neighbor Recycling team for the respective quarters.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Kadada,
Second?
second by Councilperson Fair. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consider approval of Resolution 2022-52, a resolution supporting Rice County's full application for active transportation infrastructure funding for a Hawk system to be installed at the intersection of CASA 4 and 80th Street West. Mr. Erickson.
All right, thank you, Mayor, members of the council. When staff was made aware of the fact that Rice County was going to reconstruct County Road 4, we walked the project and came up with a number of items that we would like to see incorporated into the project. That list of improvements was presented to the city council, and the direction provided by the council at that time was Rice County should pay for as many of those things as possible with the amount of funding available. Some of the improvements pertain to pedestrians, such like moving the sidewalk. I guess we went southwest of the fire hall. It's right on the back of the curb, going by the county shop, and to access the J.C. Park. We requested that be some separation be made there, so it won't be right on the back of the curb, there'll be a boulevard. That's been incorporated. And then also pedestrian crossings at 8th Avenue, and then with the school at 80th Street. And then also at the 80th Street intersection, some lighting, because right now there is not any overhead street lighting. It's pretty dark if you drive out there right now. So through the design process, the county agreed to incorporate a crossing at 8th Avenue and County Road 4. Also, they are willing to incorporate a Hawk pedestrian crossing system for the 80th Street and County Road 4 intersection. They're recommending a Hawk system be there due to the number of lanes and the speed of traffic that is at that location compared to 8th Avenue. The estimated cost is $100,000, so Rice County is proposing to submit an application to MnDOT's Active Transportation Infrastructure Program. With that comes a requirement of the grant application, a requirement of letters of support or resolutions of support. The Rice County Board of Commissioners has adopted this resolution. I know the county engineer reached out to us with that request, and then also the TCU Elementary School as well. Included with this staff report is the proposed resolution of support, as well as email from the county engineer, and then an article about the benefits of using a Hawk pedestrian crossing system. So, I know during the budget process and discussions on funding some of these improvements, the council has agreed to cost share on the RRFB crossings. I think when you go from $30,000 to $100,000, it's a different animal and probably not as much support for that. So that's why the Rice County is submitting a grant application to pay the cost of that Hawk system.
I guess my only question, which is great if we get a grant, but if we don't get a grant, because from what I understand, the TCU policy is to bus all the children regardless. So no children walk across that intersection. And obviously, if we get a grant and you know, the county or the state, somebody pays for it, we absolutely should do that. But I don't know, other than that, how much traffic there is, you know, now compared to the system we have, you know. But I mean, we're all for safety and part, you know, safe walks to school and all that kind of jazz. And I suppose the day will come too, maybe TCU changes their policy if they have a better system there, I guess, so.
But I notice, you know, because I walk that quite regularly, and being it's a transition from out in the county coming into town, or people accelerating out, people don't stop for pedestrians there, doesn't
Right.
matter.
Right,
So.
right,
It's a fast intersection.
yeah.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, that's kind of, you know, coming down the hill, you know, into town, that's
Mhm.
kind of a dangerous, I mean, it's a good point, it definitely needs control, you know, right, right. So. Okay, I entertain a motion,
So moved.
motion by Councilman Palava,
Second?
second by Councilperson Fear, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That concludes the planned agenda. On to department reports. Mr. Dornfeld.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Public Works is expecting delivery of a gator tomorrow.
Nice.
I was told plow equipment has all been put on and they were just working on a 7-pin connector for the spreader. So,
Okay.
pretty excited that that thing's gonna be showing up tomorrow.
Okay.
Christmas lights will be going up tomorrow. That tree's gonna stay lit.
There you go.
We've had our first snow event, all the equipment worked good, and we're just routine maintenance around the city, just getting our system down and going with it.
Good, good. Any questions for Public Works? All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Nick?
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and City Council. Just a couple quick updates, just working on construction documents for the 2023 trail project, as well as the mill and overlay and City Hall parking lot improvement. So we'll have plans done in January, bid that out, and get that in front of you probably at the last meeting in January 25th is the plan, to have that in front of you. And that's all I have. I'd just like to wish you all happy Thanksgiving.
Okay. too.
Also.
In regards to that trail system in those poor soil areas, I think there's some talk we would just try to use millings. Is that still kind of a plan, or where's?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna try to use some millings under there and use some more, bring some more class 5 in to stabilize that in some of those bad areas. It's actually better than I thought in some spots, some of the
Okay.
cores we have, so.
Oh, okay.
I think we can just remove the pavement, throw in a little extra base in there and
Okay.
repave it, should be good.
Good, good, okay. Thank you, sir. Mr. Erickson?
Well, just real quick, last week P and Z, Park Board, EDA meetings. Staff met with WSB on our comprehensive water plan study update, getting some more information on that. Attended 2 days of NIMS training last week, which is required to be able to access FEMA funds. And then tomorrow, Plaquemine County Road 4, we have our project management team meeting tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
I'd like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you too. Thank you for all your work. And we're still in the process of filling that one position, I suspect, the planner, community development director.
Yep, I actually just got another application here today, so I'm just gonna touch base with HR and get those interviews scheduled for the week of December 5th.
Good, okay. Thank you, sir. Councilman Webb?
The library had their big Halloween thing, and about 126 kids, I think, came
Really?
through, so that
Nice.
was a big turnout. And so they're, Marguerite and her staff are planning some new things for the upcoming years, so I think they're on the right track, so. yeah.
They do, I gotta give Marguerite credit, they get a lot of attendance, you know, those reading programs and those little events, very good, good. Thank you, sir. Councilman Kadada.
On the 14th, we had a park board meeting and planning and zoning, a couple of things we went over. The park board, we're looking at the location for the skate park. Stika Park is kind of the, I think, preferred location for as of right now. We're gonna go ahead with some bids on that and get a design and see where that takes us. We had Kate Oltgen. She's an Eagle Scout. She brought in bike racks into our parks. I believe 4 of them were put in. That project is done, and we discussed having a plaque at the DRS ball field for Mike Tukolsky and Jim Pavic. Joel's gonna reach out to the DRS ball club and basically have them give the history of what transpired between those two people. They were very instrumental in getting that park rolling. That was it for parks. Moved on to planning and zoning. We had the Rolling Ridge Marketplace car wash, which we had talked about tonight. We had Gary Toopy stop by with a concept plan for Bastier Point next to Villages of Lonsdale. That went over very well. I think the planning and zoning board that was here was very much in favor of that. So that would be a slab on grade development with some PUD restrictions on that as well. So.
That would be a great asset. I mean, that too has been 28
Yep.
years of bare land there, you
Right.
know, it'd be nice to get that filled up, yeah.
Yeah, so he is actually going to the next phase of going from concept to a full design, I think, and then that would be coming to planning and zoning the next couple months, I would think.
Hopefully spring can get at it.
Yeah, exactly. We can get that buttoned up a little bit too. And that's all I have.
Yeah. You know, that the baseball park is really, it's really something to be proud of in our community. I don't know if if anybody watches this town ball they
Yep.
have, where they go to different parks, and they had like Union Hill and St. Patrick, and Minnesota's pretty fortunate to have all these just beautiful parks in these small towns, and
It's amazing that, Minneapolis, that they can't get these parks like that, but every St. Patrick or Vesely, or there's a Mike Tukolsky, or there's a Jim Pavic, that's what gets it rolling.
I remember when I coached the Legion team, and I know you coached a lot of teams, but we had a team from Woodbury come out here. And they just could not believe how beautiful it was, that you could actually sit down on a summer night and have a beer and a hot dog at a ball game. And
Yep.
it was just, really, they were really impressed. And we beat the snot out of them.
What kind of hospitality is
That's
that?
right. Welcome to Lonsdale. So, anyway, Councilperson Fuhrer.
The EDA met last Thursday, but lack of a quorum limited us to just discussion of potential topics for next month and goal setting for the new year.
Okay. Thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
Councilman Palava.
She covered, yeah, the EDA. I apologize, I wasn't able to make it. I
Was
was
it
playing
early morning?
interstate janitor that morning,
Yeah.
so that had me out. And Shanna covered the chamber stuff, so we've just been doing a lot of interviews lately, and that has been very, very interesting and very worthwhile.
Yeah. Just want to reiterate, like you did, all the work that Shannon does at the chamber's really, really very nice for a small town. You know, we're fortunate to have such a strong chamber of commerce and promotional work for our community and all those kind of things. And to the police station, you know, there's been quite a saga here, but you know, seriously, like we've talked before, it's, you know, we just want a great end product, and you know, we're pretty much on budget, and it really turned out well.
That budget thing is very important over this last year. I mean, construction costs were up 20 to 30%.
Right, right, so it all.
Glad we did it when we did,
Yeah.
and it worked out.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and just to reiterate then, the Christmas tree lighting is that Saturday night at 6:15, is that right? So.
I'd say probably no pressure, but that's probably Joe's biggest feat so far.
Right,
of his career.
right.
No pressure, Joe.
Because he's still on probation yet.
Right, exactly. He is on probation.
I think a make or break, man.
All right, on that happy note, happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
I move we adjourn.
Motion by Councilman Kadada.
Second?
Second by Councilperson Fuhr. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This meeting is adjourned.